Dreams give me wings to fly high above the rain, where storms just pass me by. Dreams I can sail away.
Welcome to Reflections of Unity from the Writings of Baha'u'llah. I'm Joy Wazorek, your host for the show today, and Barbara Winslow is our guest. She's back again from our last show to continue talking about dreams and how significant they are and how important they are in our lives. In our culture, in this American culture, we tend to discount our dreams and maybe not pay any attention to them. But in different cultures around the world, and indeed, as Barbara talked about last show, in all the religious traditions of the world, dreams are very significant in the journey of the soul towards the knowledge of itself and towards the knowledge of God. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
And I was just asking before the show started, what you do. What is it? What do you do? Or do you work outside the home? I know you're married, you have children, you have grandchildren.
Yes. Well, actually, I consider myself a full-time dream person, other than, my home responsibilities and what I'm doing for the Baha'i Faith and my family. I give talks on dreams on a regular basis. I attend seminars on dreams. I read books on dreams. I make sure that I give dreams 20 hours a week. So it's a priority in my life, other than what I absolutely have to do to maintain a household and do the other things, because it's the most important part of my life.
That's interesting. So this is really your passion.
It is. It's my passion, and it has been my passion really since 1992.
Since you became a Baha'i?
Since I became a Baha'i. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful. Why don't you start out, why don't you tell us about a dream that you had that had a significant impact on your life?
Yeah, you'd mentioned that to me just a few minutes ago, and I thought of one that I would love to share.
Okay.
This is called, in the dream world, you can incubate a question. You can ask a specific question before you go to sleep, and you can get an answer in your dreams. So I had been a Baha'i for a couple years, and I was feeling rather frustrated because I wasn't able to teach the faith like I wanted to. I just thought when I became a Baha'i I could just go out and teach the faith and there'd be no problem, but it wasn't happening that way. So I incubated the question, what can I do as one Baha'i to make a difference in the world?
Okay, now when you say incubate the question, what does that mean?
That means you get rid of everything else that's on your mind and you just think about that one question. So I went into a state where I just kind of tried to empty my mind of what went on during the daytime through meditation, through prayer, whatever, listening to music. I don't remember exactly what I did that particular night, but just to kind of empty my mind so that there was nothing in there but the one question I wanted an answer to.
Just before you went to sleep?
Yeah, a good way of explaining it would be like taking a hose and just cleaning out all the cobwebs up there and just leaving the one question in there.
Okay.
That would be an incubation. You're incubating that one. So I asked that question. I said, what can I do as one Baha'i to make a difference in the world? And to me that meant, as a Baha'i, we're trying to bring the world together. We believe we're one human race and there's one religion and there's one God. So what can I do to make a difference in that particular regard? So I had a dream that had two different phases, two different parts. In the first part, I saw the planet Earth. And I know it was the planet Earth because of, the way that the planet Earth looks. And it was spinning very slowly in space. The planet Earth was alive with living color. Every part of this Earth that I saw was a color that I've never experienced before on the earthly plane. It was a living color. And as I saw it spinning very, very slowly, I could see that the whole Earth was alive. Every inch of it was alive. I can't explain how incredible that was, to see the planet Earth alive, every inch of it. So that was the first part of the dream. And the second part of the dream, I was a cell in the organism of the planet Earth.
Wow.
And I was a healing cell, and there were cancerous cells coming toward me, and as they came toward me, they came into me and they became healed. And I literally woke up that morning crying from my dream. I was crying when I woke up. And I said to my husband, I asked this question, and this is the answer I got. This is the dream that I had. And I said, I never again have to worry about what I can do as one Baha'i to make a difference in the world. Because if I'm living the Baha'i life, if I'm doing what Baha'u'llah tells us to do, which is to love everyone unconditionally, without exception, and to realize that everyone's the same, I'm a healing cell on the planet Earth. And if I don't even open my mouth, the energy I'm putting out is an energy of a healing cell. And I'm helping to transform planet Earth.
You're healing the planet.
I'm healing the planet.
One cell at a
And
time.
it was one cell at a time, exactly. It was enough. After that, I never had to feel that I had to even open my mouth. Because love transforms.
Right.
And if we're giving out unconditional love, and we know we are when we don't judge anybody, and we know that all the religions are the same, that is transforming. And that was enough. I never have since felt that I'm not doing enough.
Oh, that's
Just
wonderful.
being
Yeah.
is enough.
Yeah. Just
And
being.
what a beautiful answer from me. If someone else had asked that same question, they'd have got an answer that was right for them.
Yeah.
But that was a perfect answer for me. Because this
great.
higher power that was out there knew the answer I needed. And that was the perfect answer for me. I didn't have to feel like I had to transform the world. I just had to transform me.
Yeah. That's
Just
great.
transform
What
me.
a gift.
It was a
What a
wonderful
gift.
dream. One of my favorite dreams. And I often share it.
Yeah, I've had a few dreams in my life at different points which were like crucibles or cruxes in my life, and those dreams I never had trouble remembering. It sounds like that was certainly one of those. It's a beautiful dream.
Yeah, some dreams we remember forever. We remember
Yeah.
forever and ever.
Yeah. So what do the Baha'i writings say about the different kinds of dreams? All dreams are not that significant. Some,
Right.
we remember, some we don't remember, and some we have feelings about, but we don't remember. What is Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i Faith, or Abdul Baha, his son, say?
Well, this is a quote from Abdul Baha, and it's from Star of the West, so we don't consider this holy scripture, but we believe that, it's appropriate. So he divides dreams into three categories, Abdul Baha does. He says there's three kinds of visions or dreams. The first are those that arise from overexcited nerves or distorted stomachs and are of no use whatsoever.
Oh.
So we can throw those out if we watched a horror movie before we went to bed, or we ate a pizza, or and we just have indigestion. Those are the kind
Or
of
a
dreams.
triple ice cream sundae.
Right,
or
or whatever. Those are the kind we can throw out, and I think we usually know what those are. The second kind is when God sends a revelation to a soul that is not entirely pure from the world. To such ones he sends visions in symbols and signs, and these need an interpreter. And this is the majority of our dreams, I think, for most people. When he says you need an interpreter, this was written back in 1923, and back then they didn't have hundreds of books on symbols and signs, so of course you needed an interpreter. Today, I think if people put forth any type of effort at all, they can interpret their own dreams. In fact, psychologists will not even interpret your dreams for you anymore. They will guide you through it, they will help you give birth to your dream, but they let you do the interpretation of your dream. That trend has kind of changed over the years. And the third type, which is the type that we're all of humanity is really working toward, is when a soul is severed from the world and receives a revelation from God. In this station, everything is pure and clear and needs no explanation.
Ah, so that was your dream, the one that you had.
Well,
about the
mine was
earth.
probably still signs and symbols.
You think so?
I did have one where I got a tablet with written words on, and that was certainly a third type because I had the words were
goodness.
written, and I had to, I wasn't. That was definitely the third type. But the other one that I just shared with you was the signs and symbols, because the earth was symbolic, and being a healing cell was symbolic. But it was certainly powerful,
Yeah.
even though it came in signs and symbols.
Yeah. Now, in the last quote, you mentioned that we should be detached from things that are tangible. Can you be more specific about what this detachment means? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, let me read the quote on detachment, and then we'll talk about what detachment means from a Baha'i perspective. This is what we were talking about a little bit in the quote I just gave you, and it says, when man's soul is rarefied and cleansed, spiritual links are established, and from these bonds, sensations felt by the heart are produced. The human heart resembles a mirror. When it is purified, human hearts are attuned and reflect one another. and thus spiritual emotions are generated. This is like the world of dreams, when man is detached from things which are tangible and experiences those of the spirit. What amazing laws operate and what remarkable discoveries are made, and it may be that even detailed communications are registered, which means, of course, communication with the people beyond. But this is what we go through to get into this third type of dreams. And from a Baha'i perspective, detachment's broken into three categories, because we often think of detachment as detachment from the physical world or material possessions.
Yes.
We think we need to be detached, and Christ said, if you want to, pick up your cross and follow me, sell all that you have.
Right.
And, but I think the Baha'i writings are saying the same thing that Christ told us. Obviously, they must. And he's essentially saying you just must be willing to do so if necessary. So the first attachment is attachment to this world. This world is filled with material bounties from God. To possess them is not an attachment. Attachment comes when man fixes his affection on them. The second is attachment to the next world. If a man's motives for his actions is that he may reap a reward for himself in the next world, then this is an attachment. In other words, we do something to earn our way to heaven.
Right.
If I am good enough,
Yeah.
I will make it.
Yeah.
To be detached means to do everything for the sake of God and to seek no recompense. A man can put his religion on a par with his other pursuits and selfishly expect to benefit from it as he benefits from his other possessions. He wants the faith of God to serve him, bring him joy and satisfaction. This concept and practice is attachment to the world and against the law of God.
So to be religious, or to practice religion with the thought that you're going to get something back for it, and that's the major reason you do it, is, in the Baha'i writings, is not acceptable. And of course in any religion really is not acceptable.
That's correct. Every religion speaks of this, and it's definitely an attachment.
Yeah. So being attached to the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
But the real motive for doing anything actually would be for the love of God.
And that's all. And that's
or
the
to
only,
serve mankind.
Precisely. And that's the only
Yeah.
time that it's not an attachment.
Yeah.
We cannot earn our way. None of us could possibly earn our way. We're
Right.
just not capable of that.
Right.
And every religion verifies this.
Right.
And the third attachment is to the kingdom of names. And as we go through this, it's obvious that what we've heard about other religions, they're all saying the same thing. This is nothing new or different. The third attachment is to the kingdom of names. In this world, every one of God's attributes is clad with a name. For instance, generosity is an attribute of God, and it manifests itself in human beings. However, when a person who has this attribute often becomes proud of it and loves to be referred to as generous. When this generosity is acknowledged by other people, he becomes happy, and when ignored, unhappy. This is one form of attachment to the kingdom of names. Man usually ascribes these attributes to his own person rather than to God, and employs them to exalt his own ego.
So a man who says, look at how generous I am, or does things so that people will know how generous he or she is. That's attachment to the king of names. The names are like the attributes of God.
Precisely. Right. We think, anytime we're thinking, when we're doing something good and someone compliments us,
Yeah.
the first feeling should be this: if you're getting anything out of this talk on dreams, it's not coming from me. If you're getting anything out of it, it's because I'm being a channel and God's working through me. Now, if I were to go out and exalt myself as being a wonderful person and knew everything about dreams, and I was an expert in the field, that would be an attachment to the kingdom of names, because anything that's coming from me is not coming from me. And if I were to do so, I would be having dreams that were telling me that I was doing so. And that's what this means. It says, if we don't get rid of these attachments, the dreams are going to come up in our the attachments are going to come up in our dreams.
So that's one of the things that happens. This is part of the guidance of dreams,
Yes.
it shows us maybe where we're a little bit off track and we
Precisely.
need to get back on, where we're doing things for the wrong motive, or maybe we're doing things because of something that happened to us as children, which is what psychologists do. Psychologists use who are spiritual, deeply spiritual people, and what I would call wise people, always work with patients with dreams.
Yes, they do. They do. That's one of the main ways they work with people. And they work with them by helping the people interpret their own dreams. Like I said earlier, they just, they let them give them the symbols and go back and give birth to their dreams, sort of like a midwife would.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually we can bypass the psychologist if we start
Yes.
remembering our dreams and interpreting them for ourselves for guidance.
Precisely.
And it's free.
Yes, and it's free, and it's available 365 days a year. And this higher power knows every fiber of our being, not only since we were born, but whatever happened, even in our parents' generation and what we had to deal with and so on. So, it's incredible. And if we're not tapping into it, we're missing out on a huge portion of what we're here for.
What are other ways of tapping into our dreams?
Well, actually, Abdu'l-Baha gives us ways on how we can prepare more for our dreams.
Okay.
And actually, if we prepare ourselves properly, the third level of dreams are going to come, which are the level that is transforming for ourselves and for people around us. So I'd like to read this quote from Abdu'l-Baha, and it tells us how we can prepare ourselves that a better dream may be revealed.
And Abdu'l-Baha is the
He's the son of Baha'u'llah. Right.
Okay.
And he is a wonderful interpreter of the writings, and we believe he doesn't add anything to the writings, but he helps us interpret the writings.
To understand them.
To understand what is meant. And he says, "Arise and wash thy body, wear a pure gown, and directing thyself to the kingdom of God, supplicate and pray to him. Sleep in a clean, well-prepared and ventilated place, and ask for appearance in the world of vision. Thou wilt have visions which will cause the door of doubt to be closed, which will give thee new joy, wonderful dilation, brilliant glory. Thou wilt comprehend realities and meanings. Also, when thou desirest and yearnest for the meeting in the world of vision." The meeting of who? What? "At that time, when thou art in perfect fragrance and spirituality, wash thy hands and face, clothe thyself in clean robes, turn to the court of the Peerless One, offer prayer to him, and lay thy head upon thy pillow. When sleep cometh, the doors of revelation shall be opened, and all thy desires shall be revealed."
So this is a little bit different from what you were talking about before, because this is someone who really wants to commune with their own soul and with God.
Yes, this would be trying to tap into that third level.
It's a little
of dreams.
bit different.
Okay. More than just regular guidance on a daily basis. This is real deep stuff, I think.
Yeah.
That,
have you done this? I'm sure you have.
actually, I think that the times that I do this, the times that I sometimes, like I'm on a retreat, I have incredible dreams because the whole time we're talking about dreams. When I've gone away for 5 or 6 day seminars on dreams and the whole group is working on their dreams together, this becomes so powerful that we just go to our room and close our eyes and we have vision. Because it's not just ourselves detaching ourselves. We're in a situation, we're in a beautiful setting, it's out in nature, our food is being prepared for us, it's really good, healthy food, and the dynamics of the whole group is in tune with one another, so that we're all just going to a higher level and we're transformed. So, and this part about washing our hands and feet and being clean is the typical, in all religions, before you pray, you're supposed to be clean. So this is just an outward sign of preparing our body.
Yeah.
When he's talking about preparing ourselves for a guest that's coming and refreshing ourselves, it means also to refresh ourselves by getting rid of our earthly attachments, getting rid of what's on our mind.
What you're saying about relaxing, meditating.
Precisely. It's not just outward, it's also inward.
Yeah.
And that's obvious in this quote, that it's the whole process. And I can guarantee you, at least from my own experiences, that the more you go through this process, the more incredible the dreams. It seems to be in direct proportion to the effort put forth. I mean, it's just pretty phenomenal.
So like anything, it requires effort.
It does. You're not going to be a concert pianist by practicing once a week,
Yeah.
You have to do it on a nightly basis, you know. And I consider myself very much an ordinary person. I was given the gift in the sense that my mother-in-law did it, and she was good at it, and that's what got me into it. But this is available to every human being on the face of the earth. This is not available to any particular group of people. The Aborigines and people in other cultures, the so-called uncivilized
I was just going to
cultures,
ask you about them.
live
Yeah.
the dream. They
Yeah.
tap into the first thing they do in the morning is they get up and talk about their dreams, and they decide what they're going to do or not do depending on their dreams. In the Western world, we've pretty well thrown this out. Maybe
Yeah.
because our mother said when we were younger, it's just a dream, forget it, you know, not knowing any different, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
children are very much into their dreams, but their parents usually say, oh, you know, don't worry about that, it's just a dream, you know, forget it, it'll go away. And in reality, we should be saying just the opposite. Let's talk about that, and if you had, then we'll know what's going on in your life and we can help you. But we're too busy. We're too connected to this physical plane.
What about nightmares?
Nightmares, they're spoken of in different ways. For children that are having nightmares, often it's because they're eating a chocolate sundae or a bunch of cookies before they go to bed or something like that. Sometimes it's something that they're afraid of, and if they keep having the same nightmare, the parent needs to talk to them because they need to deal with that. And once they've solved the problem, the nightmares go away. But if ever a child is having a nightmare, you need to talk to them about it. You either need to, and maybe it's just a matter of changing the diet, or maybe it's something that they're really afraid of and they need to deal with it. Typically, if an adult, you know, an older person is having a nightmare, it's probably something that's been coming in their dreams for a long time and they haven't been paying any attention to, so it's got to the nightmare level so that they will pay attention. It's like a wake-up call. Saying,
So it's,
pay attention. It's some
Okay.
aspect of your life that you need to deal with that you're ignoring, and maybe it started out as just a repetitive dream now and then, and you ignored it, so it's got to the state of being a nightmare. And so it's nothing to fear. It's something beautiful in the sense that it's saying, wake up and pay attention.
Yeah, it's something to teach us. The nightmare is going to teach us something or show us
where
something.
we're kind of like you said earlier, we're a little bit off balance in some area of our life,
Yeah.
and we need to get back in balance.
Yeah,
And it's not about bad and good. It's about balance.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
It's,
And recurring dreams.
Typically, I've heard many stories of people that have had the same dreams for 5 or 10 years, and I said, you know, approach the dream, deal with it, ask what it means. They deal with it, they solve the problem, and the dream goes away.
So before they go to sleep, they say, okay, you know, I want to find what this dream is trying to teach me.
Right, exactly.
And
It's
they
that
ask.
simple.
Yeah, they ask.
And of course, if they've been having this dream for 10 years, that's what's on their mind anyway, so it probably will come through quite quickly. And if they only get a portion of that, or you were asking about a dream and you only get a portion of it, continue it the next night. Say, okay, I understood this part of the dream, but I didn't get this part of the dream. And sometimes this goes on for weeks until you've resolved your problem. But if you interpret it incorrectly, it's going to come back until you get it right. So you don't have to worry about that. It just keeps coming back.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it does.
That's good
It
to
won't-
know.
it will not leave you
If
away.
we get the wrong answer, it'll just keep coming
Right,
back.
it'll let you know. The dream will let you, because this is your higher self.
Yeah. So, do you have some concluding remarks? We have about
Yes.
3 minutes left.
I would like to end with another prayer from the Baha'i writings, and this is a morning prayer, and I think it says a lot about what we've been talking about here. It actually talks about coming back after my disappearance. In other words, after the bird has returned to the cage.
Okay.
So as we listen to these words, it'll kind of be a summary of everything that we've said. I give thee thanks, O my God, that thou hast awakened me out of my sleep and brought me forth after my disappearance and raised me up from my slumber. I have wakened this morning with my face set toward the splendors of the day star of thy revelation, through which the heavens of thy power and thy majesty have been illumined, acknowledging thy signs, believing in thy book, and holding fast unto thy cord. I beseech thee that by the potency of thy will and the compelling power of thy purpose, to make of what thou dost reveal to me in my sleep the surest foundation for the mansions of thy love that are within the hearts of thy loved ones, and the best instrument for the revelation of the tokens of thy grace and thy loving kindness.
That's beautiful. So make of what thou hast revealed to me in my sleep the surest foundations for
The mansions of thy love. You know, he talks about the many mansions
In the Bible, he talks about that.
Jesus speaks of the many
Yeah.
mansions, and it's spoken of in the Baha'i Faith also.
Mm-hmm.
The many mansions. There are many levels of nearness toward God.
Yeah.
Many levels. Specifically in the religions, they speak of the 7 levels.
Yeah.
This is the 6th level that
Yeah.
are within the hearts of thy loved ones, and the best instrument for the revelation of the tokens of thy grace and thy loving kindness. I can't say any more. It says it all.
For thy grace and thy loving kindness.
grace
That's
and thy loving
beautiful. I'm
kindness.
sorry. I need a little bit of that in my life.
So it just says it so beautifully, and it really summarizes a lot of what the holy writings say.
Yeah. So, do you have one more quick dream? We have about a minute and a half left.
Actually, I'll do a really quick one on my mother-in-law who got me into dreams. Back in 1990, her last recorded dream, back in 1995, was of an automobile accident. She had come upon the accident in her dream, and there was a person laying on the cement that was covered up with a blanket, so they had obviously died. She talked to my husband, her son, about this, and he said, "Oh, it's just a dream. Don't pay any attention to it." As it turned out, she was killed in this automobile accident 10 days after the dream, exactly as she had drawn the diagram picture in her dream book.
I have a chill. Okay.
6 weeks prior to that, all of her dreams were preparing her for this. Her dreams were saying, my dream life and my real life are coming together, and I can't tell the difference. The beautiful part about this, and I hope I can say it in the next few seconds, is that when we went to her house for the funeral, we found her dream journal stacked in a corner in a room that was out of the way, and she had her last dream book on that stack for us. And when I went to that stack and found it, we realized that was the last recorded dream, and she never recorded any dreams after that, which is quite incredible because she had been recording her dreams for 30 years.
Every night.
And that was the last recorded dream. She never bothered to do it again.
Wow.
Now, this is a woman that was really tapped into her soul, and this is a woman that did it every night for 30 years. So if there's no other good reason to record your dreams, and typically in other cultures, people know when it's time to go. They go out into nature, they put on a garment, and they release their spirit from their body because they know through their dreams it's time for them to go to the next level, the next world.
Yeah, and the American...
And this is where we need to be. But we can't be there unless we're tapped into our dreams.
Right, right. So part of developing a spiritual life is paying attention to your dreams.
Huge part.
And actually, I suppose you could be a spiritual person without it, but it would be very hard.
Well, I think a lot of people are very intuitive, and that's certainly the same level, or some people meditate and they have visions, and that's the same thing we're talking about. So it's all the same.
Okay. I want to thank you for being on the show, Barbara, and sharing some of your knowledge. I know that you have a lot more that you could tell us about dreams and dreaming and, your journey. And hopefully people watching the show will get out their pens and their papers and put them beside their bed and begin this journey themselves to their spiritual knowledge of their spiritual selves. Thank you for watching Reflections of Unity, and we'll see you next time.
Dreams give me wings to fly high above the rain, where storms just pass me by. Dreams I can sail away when times get too troubled.